Hi YouTubers, this is a little video to talk some replies to comments which have been made. Some people have been asking me about the magical plant bends and saying, oh, I've seen this video, Crop Circle's Quest for Truth, and it is brilliant, and how do you explain the Crop Circle's Quest for Truth video? And it's like, well, the Crop Circle's Quest for Truth video is actually 100% bullshit. I give you my word. I give you my dog's life and my family's life. That video is bullshit, from end to end. Basically, you've got experts like the supposed Dr. Levengood. Dr. Levengood is not a doctor. Dr. Levengood has no doctor title. He is Mr. Levengood. He called himself doctor. One can wonder why, to perhaps gain a little bit more credibility in the subject. And in fact, he's a self-trained biophysicist. So this means, he's actually got his own little lab and he does his own little work, and he's a self-trained biophysicist. The guy doesn't have qualifications, and it certainly isn't a doctor. When he was questioned on why he was calling himself doctor, he actually said, oh, well, I was given my doctorate by the National Academy of Sciences. Really? Okay, the National Academy of Sciences was contacted, and guess what they said? Well, that's strange, because we don't give out honorary doctorates. So, then we've got Professor Glickman. Oh yes, Mr. Professor Glickman. Professor Glickman apparently was a professor at the University of Southern California and in architecture. So one quick phone call to Carol Guston, who is the head of the architecture department at the University of Southern California, and she said, oh yes, I seem to remember Mr. Glickman. He gave a couple of lectures here once. Yes, it was a while back. He wasn't a professor though. So, yet another bullshit artist. And guess what? Since we exposed the fact that Professor Glickman is in fact not Professor Glickman, he is Mr. Glickman, he has stopped using the professor title now. Caught out cold there, eh, Professor? So he now calls himself Master Geometer. Master Geometer. Well, who gave you that title? Yourself? Well, of course, himself. He gave himself the title Master Geometer, which of course you can't do, because to be a master of something, it has to be a title which is given to you by somebody who is acknowledged in the field as an expert or higher than master themselves. So you can only be called Master something if you've been given that title, and you can't go around giving yourself titles nilly-willy. So Mr. Glickman is in fact a mental lunatic, because he thinks he's a professor. Goodness gracious me. This is the caliber of people you have in the crop circle world doing the research. Now the magical bends, I've had this brought up recently. Oh, the magical bends. Well, plants bend, Well, I've explained this in some videos, but people don't seem to be watching them, or they're just maybe not realizing what I'm saying. But I'm going to say it, in graphic detail here now. Magical bends don't exist. There's nothing magical about them. They are plants that are flattened over to the ground and continue to grow. This is a perfectly natural process, and there's nothing magical about it. When you bend a plant over to the ground, it has knuckles on the plant, and when you bend it flat, there's an effect called phototropism, where the plant will grow back up towards the light. So basically the plant will start to recorrect itself so it stands up, and the plant will actually lift itself off the ground and try and correct itself back up to a straight position. So the knuckles, where you actually have the bend, is a normal phototropism effect of the plant trying to grow back up towards the light. This is not magical, and Mr. Levengood, the biophysicist who said these were magical bends, I'm sorry, is talking out of his arse, because any scientist who knows anything about plants knows about phototropism. So the fact that this self-trained expert, Mr. Levengood, can say that this stuff is magical or is unusual is just beyond me. Microwave plants? No. The bends that you get at the knuckles, because the plant is normally grows straight up, its knuckles don't turn. When you get the plant forced to correct itself back to the light, it moves at an incredible speed, which actually causes breakages to appear around the area of the knuckle. And when breaks appear in plants, they seep fluid, and the fluid is full of yeast, and the yeast in the open exposed air will turn brown or black. Now this has been referred to as the microwave effect on the crop circles by the unknown forces that make the crop circles. Well, I'm sorry, that's just absolute bullshit as well, because there is no microwave effect on the crop circles. This is a perfectly natural effect being looked at by complete self-made idiots like Mr. Levengood, who probably, shouldn't be doing what they're doing, and probably shouldn't be proclaiming what they're proclaiming, because they are self-taught little geniuses. And we've actually spoken to people in the fields of plant physiology and biology, and they all know about this. And you hear people in the crop circle research world say, "Oh, isn't it terrible, the conspiracy against the crop circle research, that no serious scientists will look at it because of the government and the government telling them not to, and trying to stop the research into the wonderful crop circles." And I mean, this is absolute nonsense, because the reason biophysicists, real biophysicists and real crop experts and people working in that field don't deal with crop circles is because they know that the stuff that the bloody experts are coming out with is complete nonsense. It's as simple as that. You're not going to have experts muddying themselves in crop circle research, because they know that everything that's been said so far is a load of nonsense. And I could use stronger language, but it's complete and utter nonsense. So go and have a look up the word phototropism in Wikipedia, and don't listen to these experts, because there's far too many self-proclaimed experts out there in the crop circle world. And you really have to question who you're looking at and who you're listening to. I mean, I'm surprised that TV producers, they don't do some background research into these people. And do you know what they actually do? I'll tell you a little thing that's quite interesting. Do you know what these crop circle researchers do when a television program or a TV producer comes to see them? Do you know what they do? They say, "Are you going to speak to Matthew Williams?" That's me, by the way. Yeah? "Are you going to speak to Matthew Williams? Because if you're going to speak to Matthew Williams, we're not going to be on your television program. We refuse. We'll just back out. And we'll back out and we'll speak to our friends, the other crop circle researchers, and they'll all back out as well. So you won't have a television program, And the television producers sometimes fold, and they go, "Oh, okay. Well, we were going to speak to Matthew Williams, and we were going to, but we won't do now. We won't do." And then, of course, what happens? Because they don't speak to the circle makers, they don't get to find out the truth. And because they don't find out the truth, they don't find out that Michael Glickman is not a professor, that Dr. Levengood is not a doctor, that the magical bends are in fact bullshit, that the microwave stuff is just yeast. They don't get to find out all these facts, And that's one of the reasons people say to me, "Why did you make a YouTube video? And why did you do circle makers? And it's, you're obviously government agents and you're just trying to disinform." Not at all, not at all. We're just trying to set the record straight. We're trying to put the information on the internet so that people know that the crop circle researchers that are telling you this stuff are full of crap. And you must question, who are these people? Why are they putting this information out there? And are they actually just believers who believe in anything without question? And these are the questions you need to be asking about the crop circle researchers. So hopefully this will get around some people asking me these questions, because they'll view this video. So there we are. There's my rant for the day. Goodbye.